Visit birdcallradio.com for Bird Call merch and content. Subscribe, follow, and like us on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, all at Bird Call Radio. You're listening to the Bird Call on the Air podcast. Hi everybody, this is Calvin Lester, the creator of Bird Call. I also play Luckl Bird, Bingo Flamingo, and a slew of others here on the Bird Call on the Air podcast. Now this episode of the podcast series is going to be a little different. This is called Squawk Back, and in this episode we're going to be discussing with the cast how we make Bird Call. And it's just a way to kind of get connected with our fans who had asked the questions before of how do you make the show, where do you make the show, and just kind of giving a glimpse into that world. And today we'll be talking with Josh Ball, who plays Dylan Quailstein, Kelsey Brady, who plays Francis Birdling and Kiki Kookaburra, Tyler Campbell, who plays Speck and Poe Raven, and of course Chris Falkenberry, who is one of our puppet builders, but also plays Buzzard Beak and Kesmo Peapod. And it's really exciting because it's just a chance, again, for us to kind of talk through what the show is to us, what it means to us, and more so answer those questions again of where we're filming and what we're doing. And just a little history for those of you. Bird Call itself, I created back in 2002, and I was only 15, so you do the math there. I created the show alongside a bunch of other ideas that I had had, and Bird Call kind of stuck out because there was just a genuine interest for me to see how these characters would interact and go and move, and just a lot of fun opportunities there with stories. And I think it's kind of fun to kind of sit back and talk with the people who make it happen, who bring it to life, of what they think of the show, of what the work means to them, and the positive effect it's had on us as performers and as friends. And these people are definitely family to me, and I really do just appreciate any time spent with them, whether if it's working or if we're out to dinner, if we're on a road trip. I mean, we as a cast have really bonded and found that, just a really good connection with one another. So we sat down with Josh, Kelsey, Tyler, and Chris, and which is fun to say Chris because usually we just call him Falkenberry, but it is it's an interesting concept to me to actually sit down with fellow performers and discuss what we do. So in this episode of Squawk Back, you'll hear us discuss the making of some of the musical. There's talk of our choreography that Josh Ball has done, the set dressing and prop making that Kelsey Brady does, the puppet building that Chris Falkenberry has done, Tyler's work on the original Bird Call the musical set. And then we just kind of tell fun stories as we go along. So, without further ado, here's our first attempt at a talk back in the Bird Call on the Air podcast, Squawk Back. And I hope you enjoy. Squawk! Hi, everybody. This is Calvin Lester, creator of Bird Call. I also play Luckl Bird.
I'm Kelsey Brady, and I play Francis and Kiki Kookaburra.
Oh, I'm Chris Falkenberry. I am Buzzard Beak and Kesmo Peapod.
Hi, I'm Josh Ball. I play Dylan Quailstein. I forgot everything else I was going to say. I've been a part of the project for about 5 years, so I've done a lot.
I'm Tyler Campbell, and I play Speck and Poe Raven.
My drink!
So today on our podcast, we're going to do the thing that people have asked us to do and explain how we make Bird Call. So we put our hands up in the air, and that's it. So podcast over.
And magic.
Magic.
Thanks for joining us,
Thanks for
everyone.
joining
Catch us next week.
No, I want to talk through what everybody does in the show that's different from just performing. And I'll start with Mr. Falconberry. Chris Falconberry is one of our puppet builders on the show.
Well, first of all, I'm given great source material to work with.
Thank
They're
you.
really nice and very clear images that tell you what to do in a three-dimensional world. Essentially, my process when it comes to making stuff is I tend to try to look at the images that I'm given and then try to break those down into the simplest shapes that I can find, like spheres, cones, triangles, anything I can, and start building up a pattern based on that. It sometimes takes a lot of trial and error, but I eventually will build that pattern up out of foam and relatively get lucky most of the time. So,
Well, and it's good because anytime, like when you built Spec, we needed two. You built two, and they are exactly the same.
Identical.
Yeah, like it was no question. Because sometimes puppets can get built, and the second one will come back, and it's like, oh, that's the ugly one,
Yep.
or that one looks so much better than the first one. Mm-hmm. And when he did that one, I was like, wow. But the way you're doing it, because you're following like a pattern.
Mm-hmm. Well, sometimes I'll find like a pre-existing pattern and take that and
Like retro it.
and try to kit bash it basically into something that I need. Like I'll lengthen the patterns. Most of the time, I'll just cut it out in a cardstock.
Oh, okay.
And I'll tape it together and make kind of like a makeshift puppet out of the cardstock to see how that looks and feels. And then I'll build a pattern based off of that. It's all about tucking and pulling in the foam, how you sew things together to get the look that you want.
Kind of like drag.
And sometimes the materials also help. Like fur, and you
Sure.
can sculpt the fur to make it the way you want
So do
it
you
to.
do any sculpting for like the beaks or anything like that? Like, do you sculpt the foam? I don't know how to make puppets. I just know that sculpting the foam is one method.
Not typically. I know Scott Hume does a lot of sculpting with his patterns because Luckll's beak is very much sculpted, and I know like Grizzle's beak is very sculpted. But for me, I try to make it as simple as possible based on just the least amount of foam that I can use. It also helps keep it light. But Kesmo's body and Kiki's body are sculpted. Those are the only two that I've really sculpted anything out of it. And Kiki's ponytail.
Ponytail, that's right.
Which is incredible. It's so beautiful.
Right. Yes, yeah, so we have Chris Falconberry as a builder, and Scott Hune, who plays Fal Al, as a builder. Kelsey's made some puppets for us. Billy Horn, Scotty Shoemaker, Jason Stanley made some worms for us. So it's kind of fun that we have performers in the mix that do both.
It's easier to do it
It, like,
in-house.
stays-
The accountability is easier.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it's real time like feedback, so I think that'll
And everyone understands what the objective is.
exactly.
And thank you for that compliment earlier about having them look identical. So
Yeah,
No, they
gosh,
were-
yeah.
They really are.
They
It
are.
was-
The same
that-
puppet.
You
it
would
was-
not know that they're different.
Yeah, and it's great for the shows. Anytime we need spec in two places at once.
Mm-hmm.
Like in the musical, when we did the Magic Act, it was
Yes.
nice because it was like, hey, how convenient we have two specs.
I already have a third head built and sitting in my
God.
office
Beautiful.
I love that.
because I did it for that workshop we did a couple
Oh,
years
that's
ago.
right. Yeah.
I've been tempted to use it for something else, but I was like, I'm just gonna hold on to this.
It's something else that we do when we're making the show. So puppets are a big part of it, obviously, and that takes a lot of time. Is then when we are writing the show, I will write the script, and then we'll sit down and we'll all read it and really figure out if it works as is or when we go to record. And I think what people tend to think we do is we just get the script and do it in real time. But because of our setup, we're shooting either on a location somewhere or in our apartment. And a lot of people think that we're in a big studio space, but it's
98%
because of
in the apartment.
yeah, exactly. And so we'll bring the set upstairs, we move everything, we light it, but people still think we're in a studio, which is good. So I think that's a big testament to Miss Kelsey Brady
Oh,
for
thanks.
setup and everything.
Set dresser.
Yeah.
Costumer.
And so, like, what is it for you, Kelsey? How do you turn our apartment into a radio station for birds?
Like make the space look
Yeah,
bigger
yeah,
than it is.
yeah.
I think all the black fabric that we drape on the walls and just using the entire frame, just anything that's immediately out of frame, if it's messy and looks apartment, all you have to do is turn the camera a hair, and then it's like, oh, that black fabric goes on forever.
So
And
like this,
approximately 10 feet tall. So it's almost a 10-foot cube that we're working with.
yeah.
And the fabric that you guys have is not 10 feet. No matter,
No.
we've piecemealed a whole bunch together to cover as much of the back wall as we can. And even then, we're still going to have...
And we're sitting on top of each other.
And we are very much on top of each other. For the Sleepy Hollow shoot is the one that I remember the most, being like, okay, so if you put your foot slightly 2 inches to the left, I will stand right behind you and I will crouch down, and then Josh, if you can just weasel your way, yeah, careful, and we're good.
And if you'll straddle my shoulders right there, and you put your leg right there between my
Honestly.
in my crotch area right there, so that way we don't fall anywhere.
We're all
Literally.
friends now.
We're like
That's how it
brothers.
is.
Only closer.
I'll put my head in your armpit.
10 feet of room is not much when you're trying to fit at least 10
Yeah.
puppeteers in there in varying depths with a set.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't do a not elaborate set. Because you might think the vaudeville ones are the one that I think of where it's it's simple. We got the black background. We've got that red curtain. No, there's a lot of tripods in there holding up all of this fabric.
Because we don't get to stand.
No.
Based on the
Right.
height. We have to like crouch on our knees or sit on stools or so we're limited. And
Lay on the
then
ground.
yeah, and then you have to know where the frame is. If I'm going to walk in from, the right part of the frame and prepping your whole body to be in place so when the puppet walks in it has a place to land, it's not easy. And a lot of times we just do single shots. So those,
The entrances and exits.
they have to be clean. They have to be good.
Well, and if there's a wall just out of frame, then you just see some.
Yeah, well, because it was one of the Christmas ones we did, and Derek Clan was one of the puppeteers, and I remember he walked off with Bingo and had nowhere to go, but he just kept going into the wall, and we all are scattering and stuff. And he was far enough out of frame, but when we were done, everybody was like pressed up against the wall. And Derek's like, "Am I not in the shot?" We're like, "Yeah, you did it." He's like, "Oh, okay. I thought this was what you're supposed to do. It's just ram into the wall." I think given the space that we had to use, we've made it work pretty well.
We've mastered the 10 by 10.
Yeah. So,
And a good portion of that is due to the creativity that Kelsey has trying to make everything fit and going, okay, just let me do this. Bring the things in, but then I'm going to set this all up. Let me do this. Kelsey, can we help? No. Oh, okay.
I know what I want.
And it,
If I wanted help, I would
that's
ask.
true.
And I do, and I need it.
she creates like so much dimension in such a small space.
Oh yeah, the best one that I think she created, and I remember coming in going, I want it to look like this, was the Tiki Room.
Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh my gosh, I was just thinking of that.
She
Vividly in my
took
mind.
pieces from the musical set and flipped it. It was like the council chambers podium, and decorated it to where it looked like a facade of the wall. And it all counts on where the puppeteers enter and where we're blocking it to make it marry each other, right? And so I remember she took one of our shelves and decorated it with all this tiki stuff.
Yep.
And then Falconberry had brought over tiki things that he had. He's like, I'll donate this to the set piece. And it just filled it. And then we took like the thing that holds your teapots and made it Fulton's desk.
Oh, yeah.
And he fit behind it perfectly, but we draped that and it looked like he was on a tall desk and they were down here. But then the fact that you were able to take like a hula skirt and rip it to make it look like a backdrop.
That's
and
what you did?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
It helps to just have a whole garage full of weird stuff.
I did a lot of that
Say
stuff
the
when I
stuff
wasn't
that you've
here, so-
accumulated over the years for, hey, we need to do this bird call thing. Okay, well, I can probably make it out as something like this and this, and
Like
then you get
this
15
morning,
of those.
when we were loading up the car to go to the show we did today, I was in the garage and I was like, okay, do we need a femur, a trident? Did you remember that jar of spiders? Because we've got them. They're ready to go if we need them.
Ain't that the truth? And yes, we do have a femur ready to go. though.
Yeah, it's true.
Don't ask why.
Yeah.
You'll see it in
But
the
it is
later
available.
It was
episode.
donated by a very good friend, no longer with us.
We miss them
We
dearly.
miss them dearly, but they're always here.
Well, and we also had
Did someone say a female?
I was like cat paw, cat tail, I don't know where the cat head is.
And we have a lot of the set piece for the radio station, which was built by Tyler Campbell and Michael Feldman. That set was meant to only be for the musical, but because then we wanted to film things, we said, "Oh, well, can we retrofit it to be both?" And it's all made out of wood for the musical, for the fence pieces, the hinges, so they would fold and move. So it was a lot of engineering as we go, putting a hole in the fence.
Yeah. The hole was daunting only because it was, oh right, I need to make this hole that looks like it was blown up, but also I need to make it safe because puppets go through it, people went through it. It was like, I don't want to cut anybody. So it was hard to make sure that was there and was safe, but it also looked real. And I'm not that good of a carpenter to be like, yeah, I can make that look realistic. And the idea was they got it across and it was fine. And it's such a quick bit in the beginning of the musical that it still works. But the radio station was the most daunting one, purely because what Michael had designed was beautiful and really great. He was really good about having it in his head. Communicating it to me was hard because I'd be like, Michael, how does this work? And he's like, oh, you just go in and you do this. And I'm like, I don't know what that means, so I'm going to do the best that I can.
Can I talk to Michael real quick?
Yeah, so I'm really glad to be a part of this, and it's great to be back, guys.
It's like he's here. Hey, Michael.
Oh, hey, Josh.
Hey, Michael.
What's
Thanks
up,
for
buddy?
being here.
How you doing? I'll see you guys next time.
It's good to see an old friend.
Especially
for sweating out in the Florida garage.
Well, you know,
doing that.
That was great. I don't think I've ever lost so much water weight so quickly.
We call that the Tyler 20.
It was great for getting ready for the hot bird summer, as it were.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes.
I heard about that.
And then Josh.
Hello.
You have been part of the show for a while. And then you suddenly became Dylan Quailstein.
I know.
And but you also played Fulton Macaw in the Tiki Room episode. And it became one of my personal favorite characters. A big thing to talk about is you choreographing the stage show. And what a daunting task that is.
The hardest was making sure everything was cohesive with what was being said, done, what the puppets were doing. So it all flowed together instead of just doing movement for the sake of movement, keeping the focus on the story. And then, of course, I had Kelsey helping make my thoughts into words. Because I had a lot of movements and I knew what I wanted X, Y, and Z to be. She helped put those into words to tell to people. Because I would be like, oh, it's just the pa-pa-da-da-da. And then I would get the question of, so what do you want us to do here? I was like, Kelsey, help me. Make it make sense.
When he says bada, he means left.
Choreographing doesn't always mean, you have to kick your face, do a triple axel. You have to make it intentional. I think one of the hardest pieces to choreograph was the walking across the stage. Someone couldn't figure out if they were starting on their left foot or their right foot.
Oh, for the Society is it Scott Hume?
Yes. The
In
same
time,
tempo.
yeah.
And it's the simplest stuff that looks so clean and effective. That's why when you do take the wrong step, it sticks out.
And Scott Hume was he's a good sport.
Oh my gosh.
I will give him credit.
He gives it his all.
He really does.
But on top of that, because Scott does march to the beat of his own drum in such a way that is so wonderful to watch, I almost didn't mind it. But yeah, it was really fun getting to be trusted with your baby that you've had for so long, that is so special to you, that you've put so much time and effort in. And being a new person on the project with people who weren't used to my style, or they were like, who's this guy telling us what to do? Just being able to communicate with everyone and like, we're all learning, we're all creating. This is a safe space. It's okay if you don't get it right. It's okay if this doesn't look good on what you think looks good on you. Make it work in your body. That's probably one of the most creative times I've ever been, I guess. Most times I've been creative. So thank you for trusting me.
Of course. Oh my gosh.
And I still think about that all the time. It's definitely on my resume.
Well, like one of the ones that you guys came up with was the Claw Your Way to the Top with the cronies.
Yes.
In the 2018 version. And that still my favorite version.
That was
we
my
did.
favorite one to dance.
Yeah, because
I loved it.
you guys were puppeteers. Like Kelsey's playing Francis, and then jumping into these dancer roles as well. It was kind of like people would ask, like, "Do you have extra dancers backstage?" We're like, "No, that's all us." Like we're all like retrofitting other things.
That one was not an easy task, but it was definitely my favorite.
It was fun.
Sidebar, I just remembered. During that number, there was one show. There was a moment during Claw Your Way to the Top when we were doing the show one of the nights, and I forgot Luckle's quick change. I literally ran off the stage, shuffled through all the boxes because his stuff wasn't where it needed to be, and I came back right in time to redress him. That was a stressful moment. I was like, Calvin's gonna be so mad at me, and then you never said anything, and I was like, oh.
Was that the Me Theater?
Yes. Yeah, you remember that moment. I think it was obvious for everyone else. You were just so in your thing that
Where'd that curly go? Wow, he's moving really
right?
fast.
Yeah.
I know for me, just so at least I feel like a lifeline for the cast, that I should know everything that's going on since I wrote the thing, and then editing the audio and all that stuff together. Once I send it to you guys, to me it should still be like, obviously you're gonna learn what you need to do, learn your lines, know where you're supposed to, pop in and walk in and stuff like that. But never is it in a show like that where it's like a tracked show. There should never be a point where nobody can go, where do I go? If something happens. But what's crazy about the musical, we're on stage with the puppet, and that's why I think we did so many vigorous rehearsals to be like, you really need to know where you're standing, what you're doing, because that was in those moments. That's when I just kind of let go, like, it's in it's in the universe's hands now. Yeah, and it's obviously I will still watch to make sure people are where they need to be. But if you do it too much, the audience will notice that you're constantly checking out on everybody else. You know. And then you can't enjoy your own performance and stuff. So moments like that I probably was oblivious to that still went together. It's like, well, I trust these people.
Right.
But we are very good at covering
for each other
when things don't go really well.
So the time Jason Stanley and he was playing Khufu, and Calvin had to run off stage and go from Luckl to Bingo. I don't know. What happened?
When I got backstage, Danielle Stoddard, one of our puppet assists, had moved Bingo to stage right. And I went, he's never over there, So I ran off with Scott Hune, and he took Fallon off, and I took Luckl off, and we put them on their stumps, and then we turned, and we're like, where's our puppet? Because it was supposed to be a quick, they argue and walk off, and so Kelsey and Stanley were out with Francis and Khufu, and it's supposed to be a revolving door. We would just walk back out. And that didn't happen.
And don't remember what my line was, but his response was like, "Oh, I'm covering until Calvin makes his quick change or something like that."
Oh yeah, I remember that.
We were like,
huh?
what? There's so many of those. When it does come to choreographing those moments and making sure that you don't want to, block it to an inch of its life to say you have to be here and you have to do that, but we do set picture moments.
Correct.
And that to me is so important. Like Don't Be a Dodo was perfect, where
I love that number.
Luckle's tap dancing, and then Josh was tap dancing with him, but everybody's surrounding the desk, and then Scott being downstage with Fallon with that spotlight, like
you're just like creating the focus.
Yeah, and it's knowing what the visual needs to be to sell it.
And I think that was the most exciting thing, because I didn't have to choreograph in the way that I had before. Like I was putting together a show instead of just like a trick piece where
absolutely.
It's like, I can do every single move in the book, and this was like, oh no, we're like choreographing moves to music. And moments to music.
Well, like World is Your Toilet is everybody
Another
has to
great
be
one.
on top of that, because you've got
especially with the hands, that bit.
Yeah, for the
three per
puppet, right?
Yeah.
So it's Luckl. If I was doing, I'd do Luckle's head, or the left hand, and the assist would be on his right, and then another assist would be the feet. And then we're on this giant bungee cord that looks like a power line, and then we're all bunched together. So I mean, there was probably well over 12 people on stage for 4 characters.
Yeah.
You're like,
It was still, and it was fun to choreograph funny, like.
Yeah.
If that makes
sense.
sense.
I don't know what to say.
Yes.
That one we literally sat here in the living room.
So good.
He's referring to the song, by the way.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know what to say. So I remember when we pitched to you, like, well, Wally's dressed like a tree, and Luckl will perch on him, but we need movement.
Mm-hmm.
It can't just be Luckle's on his arm the whole
For
time.
3 minutes.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So when it became, and then the three of us got a little selfish because we were like, and we're gonna do it.
Yeah.
It was like, okay, so Luckle's there, and who's my feet and who are my arms? And then it was very much, well, we have assists that could jump in and do it. And
That was my
I remember
favorite
Josh and Kelsey
part of
both
the
were like,
show.
but we're gonna do it.
Yeah.
And I remember the assists were like, oh no, we're available. We're totally like, no, we got it. Don't you worry.
And for that one, it's not that I didn't want to teach anyone else it. We'd
spent so much time
and we
together.
had that organic
Absolutely.
movement to it. We understood.
And Peter was such a good
Yeah.
sport. We'd be like, so we're gonna crawl down your butt,
Yep.
and Luckle's gonna poke you. Is that okay? And he'd be like, yeah, because he knew also he could see the visual of the funny.
Well, especially for that, there's and that this is a testament to you and who you bring in. Going, these people have chemistry together. We have chemistry, and you're not gonna not put people together that don't gel. Like that's.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I think
That's one of your big things. So it wasn't that the
insane.
assist can't handle it. Like, no, you got for that specific moment, the four of you all just really gelled in the right way that it needed to be, and it looked cohesive more so than it would have been just like, oh, this was really clean choreo, and I was like, no, these people are like really interacting,
right, because it was
good.
choreography, but it was also we were living in it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So thank you. I appreciate that. That was very kind.
I'm glad you're being nice today, Tyler.
Well,
Yeah.
Usually.
I
Just
was
for
big old
Josh Ball.
bully. No, he likes me.
We hope you're enjoying our Squawk Back with the Bird Call cast about making Bird Call. So I thought I'd take a quick minute and plug something of ours, of course, and that is the Bird Call album, which is available on iTunes, Amazon Music, and Spotify. And if you would like a hard copy of the Bird Call the Musical album, you can go to birdcallradio.com, contact us, and we can get that set for you because we have a limited amount of CDs. Yes, I know, the archaic word of compact disc. So, yes, again, that's birdcallradio.com, and contact us inquiring about how to get your wings, talons, and hands on the Bird Call CD. And you can also download a digital copy at iTunes, Amazon Music, and other online stores. Also, don't forget to follow us on TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all the socials at Bird Call Radio. I'm Calvin Lister, and this is the Bird Call on the Air podcast with Squawk Back. Squawk! Luke Curtis is
Being a star.
being Mr. Chicker.
Yes.
And taking the character to a whole new level. So Nick Pugh used to play Mr. Chicker, and then Luke Curtis took over the role. And I was nervous because I didn't know what it was going to be, and the character changed completely.
Right.
But in a good way, right? He's brought something to it that I really love now, where Kelsey does a really good Chicker voice.
Mm-hmm. I heard it today.
Yeah.
I was like, oh wow, that's
Beautiful.
pretty good.
She had to.
See, there it is.
It's either Luke
Or
Curtis
Jennifer
or Jennifer
Coolidge.
That's what I was thinking.
I'm the new bomb.
Luke, if you're listening, is that how you came with
I
the
think
voice?
that
Is
we'll call him in. We'll see.
Yeah.
See how he.
You know,
I'll call him after this and say no. So speaking of choreo and stuff, because then Luke started coming with really funny stuff to do with himself, actor wise,
Right.
to match. And one of the things Kelsey and I cracked up at him, it was Chicker has to run over and yell at Luckl, and he would do this thing with his own feet, with like a chicken would do, scratching in the ground and run after Luckl. And we just thought that was the funniest thing. Hey, you're playing the character in the right direction, let's clean that up. And
Right.
even with Falconberry playing Buzzard, Billy Horn played it before, and he played him very slinky kind of thing, and that was fine. But when you got it, you had a good grounded, because he's kind of got that little gut to him, and he's got that hump. So for him to come in and be a little more,
he's like a rock star.
His presence is known.
Yes.
It's not I'm
He's so
sneaking
sure of
through.
himself.
It's
and
then Buzzard comes in and you know it.
Yeah, because he plants it. He's like, I plant my talents to the ground. Here I am, and when I'm done, I'm done. You know.
Right.
So I always think that's so important with the stage show. But then that does now carry over into more of the videos that we've been doing. I can't believe how far it has become what it is. Like with what we've accomplished alone. We did the Christmas Carol. Video. There's a lot of fog in our apartment.
A lot of
smoke.
fanning
A lot of fanning the
detectors going
smoke
off.
detectors.
In a 10x10 space.
Cody, go stand by the smoke detector with the fan to keep the fog out of there.
Okay, well, how long do I have to do this? Until we say stop.
Right. And that goes into us really wanting to keep with practical effects with what we're doing. Why now should we constantly just rely on
Edits.
Yeah, like
Right.
a hard edit. And that
Especially for you, that ends up making more work for you to do on the back end, because
and I think
the
people,
adage is, we'll fix it in post. Yeah,
That's-
I'm fixing it in
yeah,
post.
we're not sitting it up some, and I don't think people know that. I think some people think we record them and give them to somebody. When we record it, and Kelsey used to say this, is we would shoot till like 2 a.m. But we've been here since 6. And it's because we want it to look good.
But I think all of us are like, oh, that wasn't my best take. And then someone was like, okay, good, because I wasn't feeling good on that one either.
Sure, yeah.
And it really is just a group effort of being attentive to what you're doing. And I feel like we're all pretty much in sync in those moments.
Yeah.
To be like, okay, I could do one more take.
Well, and it works well because you've got Calvin and Kelsey directing, essentially. So the two of them, and then Scott Hune also being really good at passing the hat as to, I'm going to put on my little puppet captain hat now, and I'm going to say, hey, I want to do this because I don't think this worked, and maybe if you could do this thing over there. And you all just simultaneously switch to be like, oh yeah, no, that was a good idea. We should do that. We go back, we move on, whatever we need to do. It's nice in those moments to have 3 people who have the same vision.
And
it worked
true.
out.
Yeah, look
Wow.
at that. It worked out. Yeah, that's a big part of it. And then at the end of it is when everybody leaves the apartment. And then Kelsey and I are still living in Bird Call Land. And yeah, we're like, and we take such good care of our home, and like we, love it. But
Their house is really cute.
Our address is
555.
Welcome
Orlando
to the
Way.
Birdcall Studio
5
Tour.
lane.
Here you can see where they sit during the day, and during the night they turn into.
I think that's an episode.
Yeah.
I think a studio tour would be very entertaining.
I know, yeah. But it's just the puppets
Welcome-
doing it.
Yes.
They open the door and it pans down and Luckle's like, I'm down here.
Yes.
Literally
Hi,
like-
welcome to our studio.
Honey, the birds are back.
When we would be done shooting, it's like, okay, great, everybody, great job. And sometimes it was like, we have to leave it up because we're shooting like the next week. So Kelsey would be
It
like,
doesn't
"Ah."
make sense to take it all
Yeah,
apart.
they're like, why strike everything? So then for a week, we're going to work and leaving leaving a radio station or whatever set is up.
Tiki set.
Tiki set, yeah. And that becomes your life, And there for a while, it was draining for me and her, which is why we kind of stepped back for a while. Then the pandemic happened, and I think
We
that
all
just-
stepped back.
I think we all took a step back.
And that is definitely something that's so interesting about Bird Call, is that it exists in so many different formats and facets, like the musical, the reading show, the Christmas show that we did, the parade,
Oh yeah,
YouTube, TikTok,
Halloween show,
Halloween
TikTok,
like,
yeah.
the podcast.
Yeah.
So it's just, it exists in so many different ways that other shows don't, which really sets it apart from everything.
Kelsey,
And they work in every.
yeah, because I think especially when you know your character, and that's what's important is the character, Like, even like Kelsey taking on Kiki Kookaburra now, the new character for her. The character existed in the stories, we just never had her, and then Chris Falconberry built this beautiful puppet, and now we can utilize her more. And of course, people fell in love. They didn't even know her. They were like, I love her. It's like,
I mean, I love her.
As soon as you saw her.
Kiki Kookaburra had only just been like a theory
yeah.
for so long.
Of course.
That I've been a part of this. And then when the puppet finally like materialized, thank you.
Man, that night that he brought it
Barry.
over,
Oh,
all of
yeah.
us just looking at it going, "Oh my god, that's beautiful."
Like all, not to discredit your other puppets because they're all incredible, but Kiki Kookaburra, she is the pop diva fantasy
Oh, yeah.
that I wanted.
But honestly,
The costumes
But, yeah.
she has, just
Yeah.
wait till you see it.
Oh.
The ponytail, is
Matching scrunchie.
just, see, I love that.
Well, we were talking about that today, how she's so new to me and just the story that, it's going to take some time to like find her voice.
Oh yeah, like with like you said with Francis, how you know who she is.
Mm-hmm. Just over time, time's what kind of builds backstory.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have chapstick?
Chapstick. Where's the chapstick?
Thank you. Here it is. Is that how it is?
Yeah,
Yes.
that was it.
Yeah.
I knew it.
You did a great job.
Good job.
Good job.
Bites it off, chews it.
Yeah.
I used to do that with my chapsticks, especially the cherry one. Anyway, casting.
So casting, gosh, when I came down to Florida, I remember I was working on pitching the show. Writer's strike happened, and then things kind of fell through. But I was 19, like I was young, and they were like, I look at it now, and I'm kind of thankful nothing happened at that time, because I was so young, it probably would not have gone the way I wanted. It would have been almost like we'll take this, okay, thank
Right.
you, and goodbye. So to hold on to it, there's just something where I'm like, I guess the universe was telling me, no, not yet. And
you think you want this, but you actually don't.
exactly. So then when it came to casting the characters and stuff, I knew Tyler Bunch, who's a Muppeteer up at Sesame Street. He's talented and he's funny, and I really think, he could be Foul Al. Okay, well, there you go. Luckl and Foul Al, sure. Because at this point, though, Luckl wasn't even the central character. It was really supposed to be about Francis, Foul Al, and Chicker running the studio, and Luckl's character was, he didn't talk, he only squawked, and then when he went into the booth, you would find out he had like the #1 show. So we thought, that's really funny. So to me, he was a throwaway character. Luckl was really, and was because of Tyler going, you really find that everyman kind of guy, and I said, okay. And I remember really thinking Bugs Bunny-like, in that he's a bit of a smartass, he's a bit of a schmoozy kind of guy, but also has his wits about him, and isn't afraid to stand up to Buzzard or Foul Al in those moments. But that took a while for me to even get into that. So then I started focusing more on Chicker and Francis, and so we had Nick Pugh originally playing Mr. Chicker, Rachel Beeler playing Francis originally, Billy Horn playing Speck and Buzzard, and Jason Stanley playing Khufu, and Jason Rush playing Kesmo. And Dylan was kind of non-existent. He was there, but we were like, do we want to use him? Because that was another thing. I had a big sketchbook of just these bird characters, like who goes where. Mm-hmm. Those guys did help set that foundation of where I wanted to go. So then meeting Falconberry, working at Disney, you didn't even, you drew, you would do art and stuff for the show, but you were never a performer.
Nope.
Which was funny. And then he built Khufu in a week for the show we were doing. In 1 week, built this puppet.
Wow.
And same puppet we use still. And he's modified and made it prettier over the years. Scott Hune, same thing. We needed a new Foul Al, and he took the one we had. He was like, "Oh, this isn't great," and turned it into what we still have now. Mm-hmm. They've lasted this long. So props to you guys for whatever barge glue you're using. My gosh.
Right.
And then Huni was brought on to assist Tyler Bunch to play Fallow's right arm in the musical. And then Tyler had to back out last minute because of schedule conflict. And thankfully, Huni knew all the lines because he was there with Tyler to know what he's assisting on. He fell right into it. We had 4 other people play Fallow over the years. We had Cameron Matthews, Tyler Bunch voicing him a few times. Scott Hendricks, who ended up playing Wally the Human, and
Sean Mack.
Sean McMurray. Oh my gosh, I forget about Shawnee Mac. He was in the original pitch reel. It was, again, just kind of, hey, I need puppeteers, not even thinking of the voice and stuff. And then for Kelsey, same thing, met her when she was learning shows at Disney, and she came to see the show. She liked it, I guess. She saw it twice. And then I wanted to change it up, get some new blood in there kind of thing. And Kelsey took Francis to a new spot I would have never thought. The way Rachel had played her was more like a den mother. Kelsey made Francis she's a cool aunt. I was very impressed. with that. Then Chris Bockelberry came in and took over Speck and Buzzard when Billy left the show.
I was originally supposed to be Poe
Raven. And sure enough, yeah, he knew what they sounded like, and he walked in and just did it. And we said, okay. I was like, yeah, that's good.
You want a voice match? I tell you what, that Buzzard to what Billy had set forth, you were just like, cool. It's nice that Billy's still doing this. Billy left.
That's Chris Bockelberry.
It's Bockelberry.
And
what?
People, but your singing chops, they are
legendary.
Oh my god, I remember we were in the studio recording the album. Whew. How far was I involved in the project at that point?
Oh, very far.
Yeah?
Yeah, because that was in 2017.
Okay, yeah, and I don't know, I feel like that was like the first time everyone started to take me seriously, because I was in there helping with vocal notes as well. I was, coaching things along, and then Falkenberry walks in the room, and I was like, oh my god, that's incredible. Not that everybody else wasn't doing a great job.
No, but
he just came in and, like you said, he's very grounded. He knows what he is doing, and it came as a shock to me because I don't think I had heard you do anything like that.
Yeah, that's the big thing.
That's a big compliment because I just remember that night I was like sick.
Really?
I had such a bad sore throat and everything.
Sick, and
but
it sounded that incredible.
And it was the only time I could do it. And I was like, I know I have to be here. I have to do this. And so I did it.
He was sick.
But thank you for that.
He was totally sick.
I'm never one to, like, when I hear compliments, I'm always that kind of person that kind of goes,
yeah.
I think everybody at this podcast recording is like that.
Yeah.
We all like,
hey, you did a really good job.
Thank you. It hurts.
Yeah, we all like curl. Even today at the end of the show, like, great job. We're all like,
We all just
you did a
Shut
great
up.
job.
Yeah. You were great. Okay.
Jumping forms.
Fogberry coming in and jumping in was a task. And then Tyler, the way you came in was we needed a puppet assist, and Kelsey said, "I think that new guy Tyler that you trained over at Disney, I think he would be interested." And I was like, "Yeah, sure. Let's see what he can do."
hey, new kid,
He's got
guess
a
what?
lot
You're
of-
doing a character. Here you go.
Right.
You're doing a Raven.
We got a show in a month. You think you can make that happen? Well, I'm not doing anything. I don't have a life.
And then
By the
on
way,
top of
you're gonna
that,
play
he's got,
this
like,
character.
50 voices in his back pocket.
Right, just ready to go. And I was like, okay. So then came the big switcheroo, and during the pandemic we switched Falkenberry and from Spec to Kesmo, and Tyler
Kesmo to Spec.
Kesmo to Spec. Ugh. We didn't tell anybody. We just kind of did it, but we did make jokes about it. We're like when they're watching the musical, and Kesmo was like, "Who's that guy playing me?" And then of course Josh Ball. That guy.
That guy.
He took on Dylan after Danny Lara had played it for a little while.
May he rest in peace.
We love Danny.
Danny's
No,
listening to this going,
Danny's-
I'm right
He's
here.
alive.
It's
alive.
Danny's
I'm
femur
just-
that we've got in the backyard.
I'm giving him a hard time. I
He
love you,
left
Danny.
us.
I love you, Danny.
Right. And it was funny too because like Josh would, it's kind of what Tyler's role was for a while, like podcasts or anything like that. We would go, okay, Kelsey's playing Francis in this episode, and bird number 3. Josh, you're everybody else.
Like, literally.
Okay.
It's daunting to play everyone when you're just doing like the tracks. They're like, Calvin will just hand you a main character and be like, all right, you're gonna lip sync this, and I'm like, hold on.
Wait, I'm gonna what now?
And then he goes, we'd like you to be Dylan, and I was like, hold on. Oh, wait a second.
Well, it's like today. I mean, like you filled in for Scott Hune as Fal-Al,
That was fun.
you know, and it's pre-recorded, so it's like, oh, it works.
I was so nervous when we did the talk back. I didn't bring up his puppet because I was
I
like,
know. I
I'm
noticed
not
that.
going to be a good Scott.
It was so funny
And
because
the little girls.
she goes, "Where's the owl?"
I was like, right here. Hello, little lady.
It was very cute.
You got your one fan, dude.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and she was waiting on you all day.
So funny. I was like, of course.
But I mean, we all have had to jump into each other's characters, puppetry wise.
Yeah.
Kelsey's done. I was working in Canada, and Kelsey took Luckl to the Magic Kingdom, and Josh filmed everything.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yes.
And I was in Toronto at these rehearsals, teaching things for the cruise ships, and my computer would like be inundated with Luckl in the treehouse,
Yep.
Luckl by the castle, Luckl doing this, and people are like, "What are you working on?" I'm like, "Oh, it's my show back home," and oh, that's so neat. And I said, "Oh, that's my character," and I remember one of the girls goes, "Well, who's playing it?" Because I'm like, "Yeah, I'm here," but we've all had to do that, and I think that as again a testament of everybody's performance to say. And Kelsey's got a very specific way she plays Francis, and thank God Tyler knew that day when she wasn't there how to make her, what was it, her little clap that she'll do.
Oh, yeah.
She had to dance, and we were like, okay, Kelsey would do this, so, you know.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys for chatting about how we make the show. I don't know if we discussed really how we make it. I think we did.
I think it's a collaborative effort.
I think it, yeah.
You know what? After listening for 30 minutes, it's a collaborative effort.
Yes.
You know what? Here's the too long didn't read version. Calvin does all the things, says, here, do it, and we go, yeah, okay, and it gets done.
Yeah.
And then he takes it back, finishes it, and sends it out to you.
Correct.
We had to record, if we haven't released it yet, it was a space thing,
Yes.
right? You remember doing
Yep.
that? And so we shot this whole opening and closing where it's like everybody's in the station and then my camera didn't work, so I had to shoot a lot with the phone, and we made it work, right?
Yep.
Because I went to edit, and the opening and closing just were, and it wasn't us as the performances, but the way it looked was just terrible. The way the lighting was hitting and the way we were trying to lump in, and I was like, oh my gosh, this I can't use this. So I went in and took Scott Hune's audio as Fal-Al from the shoot and puppeteered with myself and did a split screen. So Luckl and Fal-Al are in the
Yes.
booth together. And I remember I showed it to Shane McNeil, who plays Khufu now, and Tyler, and they both go, oh my God, he doesn't even need us anymore. we're all being replaced. And I was like, no.
No, please don't leave.
That 5 minutes little split screen took me 8 hours, I think. You know. Yes, sure, I do a
You
lot.
heard that here, folks. He needs us.
I'm saying it. It's on the record. Oh,
Yes.
what do you know? Oh, I hit stop recording.
Oh,
Oh, no. Well.
Honestly, folks, we're not actually in the room. We're recording this at our own house, and he's putting it together right now.
And it's actually him doing all of our voices.
Kelsey is the most convincing end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey guys.
Hey, it's me, Kelsey.
Calvin, stop.
I'm a girl.
You know what? This could all be Calvin, and no one will ever know
No one
because
ever
it's a
know.
podcast.
Hey there, big boy. I'm Kelsey. I always be saying that.
Yeah. That's why I'm gonna
think you do,
marry her.
actually.
I always be saying
That's how we met and fell
Hey
in
there,
love.
big
Yeah.
boy.
She said, "Hey there, big boy."
You'll do fine.
You'll do fine.
I hope you enjoyed our Squawk Back Making Bird Call with the Bird Call cast. It's a lot of fun for me to sit down with these guys and discuss just making the show. It's always something near and dear to my heart when we can get together and do anything together, performance-wise, or even just sit and chat about our love of performing and creating and writing and choreographing and building, making. And that's something that's so important to myself and Kelsey and just everybody a part of the cast. In this episode, we talked with Josh about choreography for the stage show, but him as a performer, he's just brilliant, and I love getting to work with him and get to watch his mind work. He's so funny. He's one of the funniest people I know. Kelsey, she definitely brings a whole new life to this show. She really did, take Francis into a whole new level that I never expected before, and brought new heights to the show itself, and I'm forever grateful about that. And just the talent and skill behind her last minute, we need a prop, and she'll build it out of nothing. So she is an expert when it comes to cardboard, foam, and whatever we have lying around. So again, a huge thanks to Kels for everything she's been doing to make the show what it is, and just continuous growth of what we're doing. Tyler Campbell, him just as a person is so giving and caring about his friends and just the overall well-being of people. But I think a part of that, it will seep over into his performance, and I'm definitely really grateful that he was able to join the show, and somebody who worked his way up within the ranks of the show, even though it wasn't like we needed somebody to climb the ladder, but he was always and still is somebody who's always on call and ready to jump in at a moment's notice, and I'm forever thankful for that. He's become someone very close to us, just as Josh and Chris have. And Chris Falkenberry, his talent alone is so unsuspecting. He is such a... he is an enigma. He is somebody I've known for 16 years, and he's a close friend, and we have some ridiculous stories that I don't think we'll ever share here on the podcast of our time together performing and just in life. But he is somebody that I could lean on, and I'm thankful for him and thankful for his just willingness to share his talent with us and actually put himself out there. He was always somebody who would say to me that, he loves being on stage, but with the puppetry aspect of it, it was great because he could kind of hide and let the character glow. So the moment that we did the musical the second time and he was brought in, he went for it. He put himself out there, and I'm forever grateful, as I've said, forever grateful in quotes over and over. I am just so taken aback by the talent that we have in this cast. And Luke Gertis as Mr. Chicker, and Pinky the Worm, and of course Scott Hune as Foul Owl and Mr. Magpie. Those guys, and Shane McNeil as Khufu and Ruffleton and Henry. Those three are just beyond words sometimes with the comedy that they bring to the show. And I can't wait to sit down and talk to them as well. So stay tuned for more of our Bird Call on the Air podcast. This coming week, we'll return back to WING and get to know what's going on with the birds of Bird Call. This is Calvin Lester, and thank you so much for tuning in, and we hope to catch your ears on the next Squawk Back. All right, thanks, everybody.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye now.
Bye.
Bye.
What about that femur?
Flock out of here.